besides making music, how would you recommend promoting independently? Yeah, that's the thing too, you know. Uh, Getting started as an independent artist, I mean, I can fucking tell you all about it. I was exactly fucking that. You know, I wasn't scooped up by Tiesto and piggybacked onto the stage of Ultra, and all of a sudden I'm a fucking superstar. You know what I mean? Like you got to do some work. Shit, you know, like I say this to a lot of guys. Maybe I might have said it in some previous streams or something like that, and I know I might have said it in person, you know, a conversation that didn't fucking suck that I actually could stick around with and give someone some beneficial advice. But you know, as an independent artist, and by independent artist, I just mean, you know, like a guy that fucking makes music that isn't signed to a major, and fuck, you know, nobody knows you from their ass in a hole in the ground. Um, the kind of key thing you got to realize, especially with the fucking, you know, in this age now, I started out kind of at a time when, you know, the internet was just kind of coming out, you know, coming into age in terms of not like, oh, the internet. I mean, Netscape's always been around, but like, the internet is such a fucking vestibule for, you know, promotion and Twitter and social networks and stuff like that. Like, I probably started making music just before the MySpace boom, so there really wasn't anything like that. Like, there was mp3.com, which lasted like, you know, a year or two or whatever and stuff like that, but there were no huge, you know, there wasn't a lot of media coverage on that kind of thing. So I never had to do that, and I think that worked out in my favor, because when you're starting out, you know, you have to realize that, you know, you want to make people, you want to make music for, you know, people, you know, not for the fucking internet, not for blogs, not for all this other shit. So I think that if I had to do this again in today's climate, at least, you know, with all this shit, I would really focus on being very offline. I know it sounds fucking crazy, but there comes a point where you do get online in terms of like, I've got this fan page and I've got this Facebook that's got all these followers and shit like that. But I mean, don't take your music, you know, and go to a fucking nightclub, meet a DJ, you know, go to a radio station. Like, it's still old school as fuck, and I'm probably gonna sound old school as fuck, but honestly, connections made in person are a million billion times more valuable than a fucking spammed link, you know, or an email or a demo or a, you know. So you really need to like do a lot of fucking groundwork. And I'll tell you, actually, you know what? That's how I kind of found out about Sonny. Now I didn't invent fucking Skrillex. Skrillex invented fucking Skrillex. There's no doubt about that. And I mean, his sound from, you know, Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites was the same before we even fucking put that album out, you know. So that was kind of one captivating thing. But Sonny came to, you know, he was in person. He came to an event like me and Tommy, just Tommy Lee, crashed some random fucking hard party out in LA. I don't think we performed. I think he asked us to perform and I couldn't. But we were just in the neighborhood and we're like, fuck it, let's go to this party. I know Gary, no. And then we were all sitting backstage and then Tommy said, oh, hey, you got to meet this kid, Sonny. He makes some music and whatever. And then Sonny came in and he delivered me actually the fucking Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites on a fucking USB key, you know. And I was like, oh, cool, you know. And now I'm more likely to take that fucking piece of hardware and make that, you know, physical connection. Well, he seems like a normal fucking kid, a little fucking wacky, and yeah, and he kind of has his head around the music thing because he's done it with his previous endeavors with From First to Last kind of thing. But that was a personal connection. And, you know, and then I took that back and milled over it for a while, you know, and now fucking Skrillex, right? Like, took him on tour for a while and, you know, introed him out, shared what I thought was cool at the time, and then all of a sudden the kid's fucking running laps around me and I'm like, all right, off you go, back to Big Beat. Or Alza, however you please. So, you know, like that's kind of cool shit. So the moral of the story is if Sonny just fucking emailed me links and posted SoundCloud stuff and all that shit, I would never have fucking found that shit, you know. And it's not necessarily about, you know, appeasing one guy or, you know, getting a, you know, just hammering at shit. So my start was really like going to okay, here. I'll give you, I got a minute, so I'll give you my life story. So when I was growing up in Niagara Falls, I, found out about, electronic music and all that stuff through, like, friends and shit like that that were into it. And I went to a couple, like, small little raves and shit like that and thought, wow, this is kind of neat. I want to get into this. And then, I get home, get on, America Online or whatever the fuck, and hit up some GeoCities pages to how do you make electronic music. And I mean, now fuck, luckily for you guys, there's all this fucking shit out there that just basically shits out a fucking EDM tune for you. Back then, computers weren't even capable of recording 16-bit audio, so fuck you all. Like, and that kind of thing. So I started out with like really simple shit. So there were programs like totally ancient DOS programs called trackers and stuff like that that just made like chiptune sounding shit. So I got into that and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like nothing I hear on the fucking radio because, they use equipment, they use synthesizers and all this shit. So I had to investigate this shit. So I just, in my infinite fucking wisdom, figured I'd go to the nearest, our local big computer store that, is like a mom and pop shop kind of thing, but they specialized in building computer systems for consumer use, basically. And it was, funnily enough, it was called Cyberdyne Systems, and it was in Niagara Falls. And I went there and I said, hey guys, anyone, you guys know anything about electronic or making music with a computer kind of thing? And they were like, well, yeah, we know some things, but I mean, none of us are fucking producers or anything like that. And the owner of the shop kind of came around and overheard the conversation and said, well, maybe you want Cakewalk. That's a really high-end thing. And it really was at the time, trust me. Cakewalk and Cubase were like the two fucking things. She was like, oh yeah, you want Cakewalk and this and that. And I was like, oh wow, okay, great. So I went over there and started thinking about that, and I'm thinking, wow, Cakewalk's like, 300 fucking bucks, which might as well be fucking what $1 billion is to me now, and as it turned out, because I made that human connection, and like I said, this is going to keep tying into my point, as I made that human connection, that human interaction, that actually get off the fucking internet and go do shit thing, now Adam says, well, hey, we're a bunch of DJs, and by DJs I mean they were like DJs, they had vinyl turntables and all that shit, because fuck, Pioneer wasn't even on the fucking market at that time. Or whatever. Besides the point. So he says, oh, we're DJs, and we get some guys, some hip-hop guys from, Rochester, and another DJ from Niagara Falls, and we put together this radio show. And I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. Can I, he's like, hey, we're gonna tape the show, and you should come by and just fucking hang out, and then that's what I did. I hung out. I was the fucking kid that just sat in a fucking chair and watched these guys fucking DJ, right? Now, I knew that none of them were making music. They were just putting together a show, and then Adam was showing me that, I'm going to use, oh God, I can't remember the name of half the applications he used, but, he would record it in SoundForge or something like that, and then how he'd burn it to a CD and all that stuff, and how he edits in commercials and shit like that, and that just got me sparked, and I was like, oh shit, that's so cool. So of course, every week these guys would produce this show, and I would go in and hang out and watch them fucking do it. And that's it. It's just being there, It's not even like hard to figure out how to make these kind of connections. But and you're there long enough, they all become your buddies or whatever. I mean, of course, I'm like fucking 15 years old or whatever, but it was still really cool. And as the years went by, like maybe it was like another year or 6 months or something like that, then all of a sudden I realized, like, hey, Adam would say, I gotta go do this fucking thing for this customer, because he still runs a fucking mom and pop computer shop kind of thing, and he's like, can you just, edit this commercial in for me? And I was like, oh, okay, well, I fucking, I've seen you a million fucking times and do it, so I can fucking do that. And then I fucking go in and I do that, right? And then it just became such a thing that, I was so there and active and involving myself in that process all the time, where it was like, hey, I'm just going to come to the shop and dick around with some of the fucking computers upstairs in the studio and make some music. And then another one of the DJs from that kind of operation where they had that radio show said, hey, I'm going to go open up a record store, and I'm going to build a studio in the back and all this stuff, and I'm like, fuck, sounds good to me. So skip fucking school and go hang out at a record shop, right? It's like fucking every kid's dream when you're 16. Mm, But this is what I don't really necessarily feel too bad about it, but actually what happened was I spent so much time in that fucking studio learning shit and downloading stuff and putting together things and learning to make music and all that stuff that I was like you couldn't get me out of that fucking studio. Like my mom would be calling like, "Where's Joel? You gotta come home." No, no, no. And then it would be like, of course when you're around 17, 18, none of that shit applies. So literally I would pull all-nighters in there and just dick around in the back of the record shop. Well, they were like more DJs, you know what I mean? So they would go, to the nightclubs, play records, whatever, and sold records inside the shop. And that was like kind of the furthest point of their aspirations in music business, you know what I mean? But I was kind of that, plus I was producing or learning to produce. I didn't churn out a fucking tune in the first 6 years of my like kind of just hanging out and learning about electronic music and the scene at the time. And I'm like, forgive me, like, but I have a lot of younger viewers here who are like 18 to 24, but I'm talking like when Chemical Brothers and Left Field and Armand Van Helden and the Cassius and shit, Bomb Scare, all those old fucking house records and shit were like selling physical and shit like that. So that was around that time is when I was dicking around. So I fucking, just hung out and fucking did that. And I think it weirdly, not weirdly enough, came to a point where I was kind of superseding everyone in terms of how to do something, So, some of the guys from the record shop would be like, I have to put together this commercial and I don't know fucking how to do this trick or this thing or make a jingle or whatever. I just record the show and fucking slap it on a CD and drop it off at the radio station. I was like, well, fuck here. You know what I mean? So I kind of outpaced everyone in terms of technology. And then, the record shop then got a little bit tired and, I kind of hit my bottleneck there where it's like, well, now what? What do we do? It's like, fuck. And unfortunately, the record shop closed, and I had to figure life out again. So I'm basically living at home thinking, shit, well, fuck, now I'm fucked. So then what happened is, I got some jobs. I worked in a cannery, fucking peeling peaches and pears, which I will never eat to this day. I still will never eat another peach or another fucking pear. Every time I smell one, see one, or whatever, it just drives me fucking bonkers because that job was so horrible. Working at a cannery, I don't wish that on fucking Garrick's, dude. It was bad. So I fucking scrounged up enough fucking pennies to buy my own 486 and put that in my bedroom, and I was like, oh, fucking great. Now I don't have to schlep all the way downtown to the studio or the record store anymore and drive my parents insane or fucking whatever. I can just do this shit from home. And then that's when I really had a lot of time to, focus on my shit and fail high school and get yelled at by my mom and my dad to get a real fucking job and all that. Dude, it happens to everyone. I don't care who the fuck you are. And then what happened then? Yeah, fuck the pears, dude. I was like, fuck pears. Timeline. I'm just trying to remember my past here. So, yeah. So then I'm, I've got this computer in my bedroom, and I'm like, well, okay, mom, dad, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not going to be a fucking EDM or fucking rock star when I'm older. So let's start thinking about plan B here. Learn to do web development, like GeoCity shit, nothing amazing, and then and then Flash. And Flash actually was really helpful to me because when it came out, it was like every website in the world had a. Hang on one sec. Yes. Okay. All right. See you later. It's in the top garage. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Is it locked or is it shut? Yeah, it's closed, and I'll close the gate on the way out. All right. Okay. Thanks. No problem. Bye. Oh, is Kelly here?
No, she's not gonna be back till late. She said, but like
The fuck's she
9,
doing?
10 o'clock sort of thing.
Oh, all right. Okay. So, um, like I said, Flash came out, and every corporate website fucking had a Flash intro. It was the craziest fad I've ever seen, and that was the worst. I had like a tickle in my throat. Oh, it's still there. God, I'm gonna die. All right, I'm good. I'm good. Anyway, a Flash comes out, and Flash, of course, as you know, supports audio. So there are some like guys. Jesus fuck, that's gnarly. I've never had that happen before. Um, just hang on. Smoking's probably not optimal. Right. One sec. I'm okay. Hmm. You're gonna die if you keep smoking. I'm gonna die anyway. Like, it's another 10 years when I'm 80. You know, probably wanna die at that age. Okay, so Flash started audio, blah blah blah. So there were some companies that actually were music libraries, like online music libraries, that web developers could go to, license music off their shit, and then royalty free, you know, and put that music in their Flash intros and on their website and stuff like that. So I found this one company in Palo Alto or Fremont, somewhere in there. Oh, Fremont, yeah. And the company was called like Killer Sound, and what they were is an online sound library where you could go. If you're a company or a web developer and you want to have music that isn't like fucking Billy Ray Cyrus, who's going to sue you for putting him on his website or fucking or me or whatever. And he ran this massive library, but he also had like a little army of dudes like me who just sat at home and wrote music randomly and put it out online or whatever. And I approached him. I said, hey, of course I fucking blew smoke up his ass. I'm a composer from Niagara Falls. I make electronic music sort of, and I'd like to be a part of this thing. And he was like, oh, cool. So I gave him some loops and tracks and stuff like that for him to sell on his site, and they did okay. Like, didn't fucking blow his company up or whatever, but he it stood out in his library, and a lot of guys were like licensing my stuff because electronica was just kind of starting before anything it's like now. But so a lot of like car wash companies or fucking god knows what were like, oh yeah, I want an electronica sound on my website or whatever. So that's what I did, and it stood out. And then I would get a little, nothing massive, just little paychecks here and there from this company that shared some of the dividends and profits from purchases back to the artist. So I was like, oh wow, this is like almost a full-time fucking job. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to make music and fucking sell it to companies or commercials or film, or make my own music. God knows what. This is me. So and again, we're talking like a span of like 7 years. It's not like all this shit just happened one week, next week, and the week after that. Like, it took a while, dude. So that was kind of my job for a little while too, is developing music for music libraries. But all the time I was doing that, as shitty as it was, and in comparison of what I'm doing fucking now, I'm learning. You know what I mean? Like, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. I'm fucking new software comes out, I'm on top of it and all that shit. So it's like, you're just sharpening the fucking knife, and you're getting fucking paid for it too. So there's so many ancillary markets in music creation that you don't have to fucking put out an EDM banger to make $1 million fucking bucks a year. You really don't, you know. I mean, it helps, but you don't need to fucking worry about that shit because you'll get there because you're not gonna fucking get there. Well, at least at the time, I wasn't gonna get there because they didn't have Fruity Loops and woodblock samples, right? So had to work at it, unfortunately. So you know that shit just happens. And like I said, you do that for long enough, you practice, you learn things that, you know, you impress yourself. Like, holy shit, you know, wow, last year I didn't even know how to fucking do this thing, and now I'm already like learning about mixing, you know, techniques and stuff like that, and just accumulating like a fucking sponge. That's so important to just take in information, not watch tutorials and fucking how to make fat beats, yo, and fucking watch shitty fucking EDM artists who fucking jerk themselves off on future music about, oh, and here's how I put together a beat. You know, no, fuck that. You gotta do that shit because that's how you learn. That's how you make you. You know what I mean? Not you fucking clone the fucking clone of a clone. You know, that's really important, and that's something I can hear a mile a fucking way, especially when I'm, you know, just out and about scouting. Like, who do I want on my fucking label? You know. And same goes for everyone else and every other semi-major indie label. So the thing too after that is when it kind of became practical, where I thought, oh, okay, well, I can make music, I can make money, all right, and I can learn. Great. But you know, you're obviously like, well, I have no equipment. I'm not making hundreds of thousands of dollars, so I can't buy fucking this crazy equipment that, you know, is the fucking unicorn or the holy grail of synth, or this cool mixing console, or this audio card. You know, it was all just a little out of reach. So again, there you go. Get on your fucking bike, go outside and fucking meet people, you know, and then I'd go to a studio, like a recording studio that had, you know, maybe $500,000 worth of fucking gear and shit that I could never fucking hope to own, and, you know, whatever, shit like that. And I met a guy named Dean Malton, who was a mixing engineer and a studio owner. Funnily enough, the studio just so happened to be, you know, a couple blocks away from my house in an industrial park. And did what I do, you know, I went in, hey, dude, I make electronic music. I know it's not your fucking area, but, you know, I just like to hang around and check shit out, you know, like, and just sit in on a couple sessions, learn a couple things, you know. I'm not gonna fucking tell you to pay me or anything, you know, because I won't be doing anything, but just go be a fucking intern, be a fucking coffee guy, you know, whatever. Just whatever gets you in that fucking room, because sooner or later, the opportunity for you to use all this shit you've been fucking learning is gonna come up, like, almost instantly, you know. So I get in there, and I see this guy, he's using a 60 or a 32 channel Hill console. I'm sure maybe some percentage of you know what that is. It's just like a big mixing board, basically. The thing Garrix uses as a fucking laptop stand. That thing. But a Hill one, not a SSL. So I go in there, and he's got that and 3 DA88s, right, which are a digital tape. Basically, so, you know, all the summing from the mix that he does on this big console goes into these tape machines. And like I said, the opportunity came up for me to go, hey, you know, you can do all that shit in the box now, eh? You don't even need the DA88s. You could actually dump all the stuff that are on all those little fucking tapes and put them on a fucking computer and see it on a fucking screen. He's like, really? Yeah. And I mean, like I said, the computers were just coming of fucking age to be able to fucking do that at that time. We're talking like, you know, 97, 98. And, you know, he was just like, he's an old guy. He's a tape guy, you know. So I was just like, yeah, man, fucking, yeah, you can totally do this on a computer, dude. And they even now make like these things called virtual studio technology with Cubase and all this innuendo and stuff that you can really save a lot of time doing this. So then he's like, oh, well, shit. So he went out and he went to this is like some full circle shit. So he goes out, goes to Cyberdyne, the place where like I first fucking walked into, gets a computer built, brings it into the fucking studio. We park it up, put some fucking monitors up on the console so we can use a computer while he mixes and shit. And then he said, well, here you go, you know, like fucking, you know how to do it, so why don't you take these DA88 tapes from this session or whatever and dump them into fucking Cubase. Fucking brilliant. Okay, there, now I have a fucking purpose, you know what I mean? Because I know something that fucking mix engineer don't fucking know guy. Now he's probably like, well, I haven't spoke to him in a while, but I mean, now that's probably his standard thing, you know? So it was a two-way relationship because, like, you know, he knows a lot about, you know, analog stuff and EQing and how to use stuff as opposed to what the medium of it, and I could learn that way, you know, so I could learn signal path and you know, real analog engineering and stuff like that, and how to hear for things and tips and tricks and shit like that that Fruity Loops tutorials are not gonna fucking give you, you know what I mean? Like I said, you can download all the fucking software you want. You can fucking buy all the plugins you fucking want, but if you don't know how it actually fucking works, really, then what's the point? You know, it's like, well, it would be like getting a self-driving P1. If you don't know how to fucking drive, honestly, what a waste of fucking time. So the thing is like I said, it's an exchange of knowledge in where you have an edge or something to give, you know, in exchange for something else. So, I mean, but that's fucking life. You know, you give money and you get money, or you get a service or whatever. So that was a really interesting thing. And then, you know, I just, again, just became the fucking ghost of Ground Loop Studios. I was always fucking there. I was just hanging out. I'm not making money there, and I'm putting, you know, my talents to work in terms of whatever. And then some guy from this band called Revenge of the Egg People, he had a CD out, and as far as I was concerned, these guys are fucking Motley Crue because they're selling music and they're printing CDs. It's like, holy shit, it's like manufactured, it's insane, you guys made it. And they said, hey, well, like, what you working on back there in the other room? And I'm like, just fucking around with some, you know, my own shit, electronic music, whatever. And he's like, oh, well, we should do a remix, like a bonus track. And I was like, really? No way. Okay, I'll try it out. And, you know, and I took their song. It was actually, good luck if you find this one online. It was my first remix that I've ever fucking done, and it's out somewhere, but I don't know if it ever made it online, but fucking bonus points if you can find it. The band is called Revenge of the Egg People, and the song was called I'm Electric, and I remixed that, and that was the first body of work that I ever got done that made some kind of print. Now, mind you, it won't be a #1 by a long shot. But anyway, but that was really cool, right? So now all of a sudden it's like, wow, like I'm almost a fucking stand on my own 2 fucking feet artist. So fucking ergo, go home, upgrade the computer, get an Echo MIA, which was like the fucking boss of converters for me. Bought a couple cheap piece of shit gear, like I bought a fucking MC303, which was like my life savings, and it was fucking nuts, dude. And things evolved from there, you know. And then when new software started coming out, like I said, like Fruity Loops comes out and shit like that, and Cubase comes out, and Ableton came out, and all that shit to me was just like a fucking joke, you know, because you could just get in there, you know how it works, you know what this does what, and it's just fucking great. Yeah, it was, yeah, thanks. Como Code just tweeted at me. It was the Karma K remix, because yeah, this was before Halcyon 44.1 kind of thing. Yeah, really weird. Is this it? Electric? I'm Electric, Karma K remix. Holy shit, people found it. Yeah, it's, oh my god, that's hilarious. It is online somehow. Original release date, 2013? I don't think so, dude. Weird. Maybe they re-released it or something and said, hey, oh my god, what a dick move that would be. Oh, well, Deadmau5 is huge now. Let's put it out. I'll bet you that's what happened. I'm gonna call them. You fucking dicks. Now their album just goes fucking platinum. Fuckers. Anyway, it's pretty interesting how that happens. That's funny. Yeah, and like I said, I bought a bit of shit and a bit of software and just got to fucking work. Oh my god, there it is. Let's listen. Oh, I haven't heard this. I haven't heard this track in at least 10 years. This should be interesting. Oh my god, everyone's like, found it! I found it! Oh, this video is unavailable. Hang on, maybe I got a wrong link. Dude, I can't. It says it's this video is not available. It's really it's not like an amazing track. I mean, considering that was done with zero fucking gear, the oldest fucking software imaginable. I remember I used Hammerhead to do the drum backing and just kept layering, and I didn't even use a fucking DAW really. I just kept cutting I did it in SoundForge. I think where I had to cut loops and paste them and paste them and paste them over a period of time. Yeah, fuck man, why is it unavailable for me? Did it get pulled down already? It is on iTunes. That track is on my streaming service? Yeah, right. I'm Electric, Karma K remix. Wait. Dude, it doesn't even run this time, I guess. Quick time, slow time, anytime, today time. Nope. You know what? Maybe. How do I not have it on my? Oh, because it's 100 years old. That would be why. Yeah, Hammerhead was like a drum loop software, and I used a lot of Rubber Duck too because those partners, those two pieces of software just went together like fucking mayonnaise and toothpaste. So good. It is on Tidal. Holy shit, it's on Tidal. Go figure. Let me see if I can get it to play. Play in Tidal. There we go. So bad! Anyway, you get the gist. Oh, that's embarrassing. That was my animals. Sorry. Yeah, I did. I got it. That's so funny. Anyway, and then, you know, software came out, blah, 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 learn that, and then discovered the invariable treasure chest that sidechain compression is, and made Faxing Berlin and called it a fucking day. That's my life story. More or less. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, you know, whenever I'm like introduced to, you know, like new artists and stuff like that, I mean, can you really blame me for being a little like kind of, it's cool. And I mean, I'm not to say I invented the fucking shit, because I know a lot of fucking dudes that have gone through the exact same fucking process. You know, some did better than others, but that's just the roll of the fucking dice. That is life. And, you know, but just makes me a little bitter when, you know, hey guys, I got this vengeance kick and a wood block. I didn't go to school for this. That's cool. Like, well, neither did I, to be fair, but like, I mean, shit.